This is going over my portfolio over 2024, so how much I earned from a £50,000 portfolio. So far I've invested about 36,000. I'll show you in the spreadsheet. But if you've been following the portfolio since the beginning, I've progressively been increasing this from 2020 going up until now. So it's realistic, something anyone can achieve. I'm just a normal guy, kind of normal job. I don't do this full time. So I'm just increasing as I go. I'll show you the results of this. So I made mistakes, I made adjustments along the way. So as you can see, the value is it should be a bit higher. I need to add some more stocks to this, but it should be £50,000 100. So I'm going to start with my UK dividend log. So I track all the dividends I receive to make sure I can see a compounding effect over time. So starting from January for my UK stocks, in total I got £16.57, which is actually more than 2023, so quite an increase. The biggest payer was GSK. I currently own 72 shares of this. They pay 4 times per year, one of the few UK companies that pay quarterly. But at the beginning, I think at this time, I owned about 60 shares. National Grid, utilities company, so £3.74 was my next biggest. I'm not going to go over all of these, but in my previous video, I went over my biggest dividend payers and my biggest growth stocks as well. So you can check that out if you're interested. February, not quite as much in dividends, so £9.54. So it's still beating the previous year. So in 2023, I think I got like £8 or so, not much from UK stocks. And Greencoat, they're a wind company, £7.31 with my biggest payer. I think that's with 100 shares. In March, so you can see this is accumulating, growing. So some months are going to be bigger than others, depending on when they pay and how much you have invested in the stocks. So AstraZeneca, biggest payer Unilever, and Shell, £8.50. April, so GSK paying again, so you can see the big increase as I've been approaching 72 shares. So in April, I think I had about 67 or so shares. HSBC, £7. And then a smaller one from SafeStore. So they're a warehouse company. In May, so huge increase. You can see a huge jump here. So Aviva, an insurance company, they're doing actually pretty well. So I got £26 from them. And Greencoats, again, not quite as big as in February, but still still something I'm going to always reinvest, so I can always increase how much I get. And Lloyd's paid me £25.7, and that's for holding 1,420 shares. Yeah, so some oil and gas company, so he didn't pay Shell. June, so one of the biggest payers, HSBC, paid me a little bit early, in end of June, I think. And Legal in General, so I have like 650 shares in this, £77.54, so big increase. In total for June, £115. July, you can see I got £9.91 from GSK. Even though I've been reinvesting dividends, kind of been all over the place. They did spin off, I think, was it Haleon? Their goods part of the company, so they're to be more streamlined and focused. National Grid, £7.92. So big increase. And then August, not so many dividends, like £2.60. Small ones here and there from City of London Trust. And an ETF. Oh, sorry, not an ETF yet. ETF was in June. September, £86, so still pretty substantial. £34. So the thing with legal in general is they generally pay twice a year. They have a big one, and then they have a much smaller one later in the year. Lloyd's, second one of them, so £14.86. And pretty big one from Unilever too. So increasing little jumps here and there, you can see. And then the S&P 500, so an ETF, I'm gonna start increasing my shares in these. So currently I think I have 10% of my portfolio are in ETFs, but I'm gonna start trying to increase that more, just for safety. Rio Tinto, £5.10. October, not so much. I got £14.61 from Aviva, so that, like Legal in General, they're an insurance company. The second one is not quite as much. November, so £5.78 from Greencoat, a little increase from July, and not so big dividends in November. December, also again not as much, £25. The biggest payer for the month was, again, Unilever, which I increased a little bit more. Didn't buy too much of this, but I just reinvested all the dividends, bought a little bit, not much. And S&P 500, always reinvest, make sure you can grow it. So in total for the year, £448.62 in UK dividends. That was for 2024. So now, more interesting, my US stocks. Starting with January. So this is where you're going to see the much bigger returns here. But also US stocks have a 15% tax. So you don't get as much as you would for a UK company if you own the same equivalent shares. But generally they increase their dividends more, and they have higher growth too, so much better to hold these. So £25. AGNC, this is one of my more risky plays. It's a mortgage REIT, so MREIT. I'm actually okay with this, so I've taken a bit more risk with this stock, but overall at some point I might decide to sell this, but for now I'm pretty happy with it. So £10.19. Realty Income, you're going to see this is one of the stocks where it has huge increases over the year. So only £8.02. February, big increase. AbbVie, a pharmaceutical company, £16.51. But my biggest one was AT&T, £17.50. So I own 102 shares. I've held this company from when they used to own Warner Media, and they spun it off, sold it to Discovery. And much smaller dividends here and there. So oil and gas company, 1OK. They have a pretty high dividend. And Realty Income, you can see I've already started to increase. So £8.78. In March, so AGNC, I reinvested everything, but didn't quite make as much back. Bit strange. And Main Street Capital, they generally they pay every month, like AGNC and Realty Income. They're also a REIT, so a BDC REIT, and they generally give a bonus back every 3 months. So you're going to notice this trend as well. So in June, you're going to see something like this too. Realty Income, you can see I've bought a lot more shares and I've reinvested every single time. It's having a huge compounding effect. April, beating January at least, but you can see some increases. AGNC, £11 followed by, it's going to be Realty Income as well. So small increase, didn't buy too much for the month, £9.66. May, so biggest month so far for the US stocks, £67.25. AbbVie paid me again. I didn't buy too much more of this, but still. AT&T, £18.20. 1OK, a little bit of an increase. It's a very slight increase with realty income too. £9.68. June, £44.43. So I got 1 penny more for this one, which is good. Increasing, so I'm happy with that. And again, as I mentioned before, I said June is going to be a big, you will notice a big return here. And always reinvesting this, even if it's lower than your average, you should still buy back in. Overall, you're probably still going to be up, depending on the stock at least anyway. July, £31.99. So £11.56. You can see the big difference from January to July. And then you can see realty income almost hitting £10, but not quite as much as the previous month. August, you can see the quarterly payments from AbbVie and AT&T coming in. So AbbVie was in February was £16.51, a little bit more here. AT&T £17.93. Always reinvested. Now I finally hit the £10 mark with realty income, and also last year you would have noticed that the dividend had a huge bump, so they generally increase their dividend not just yearly but every quarter, which is great. So even if you don't buy a single more share, you're going to get more returns. September, £43.67. So you can see this huge increase here. Now I have £12.53 every single month. So, and then £10.39 realty income. October, biggest payer again, AG&C, increasing like 50 pence more, and £10.62 from realty income, and then smaller dividends here and there sprinkled in. November, AbbVie again, the final quarterly payment for them. Biggest dividend so far from AG&C, £13.67. Also my biggest dividend from AT&T, £18.37. And then finally my biggest dividend so far for realty income, £11.07. And then a little small one I've just added a little bit to, a new position. December, £48.49. Biggest dividend yet, so this is the final month of AG&C, so you can see it started at £10.75, now it's £14.16. And then realty income, the final dividend for them, £11.37. And then the small dividends here and there that I'm adding to. And Main Street Capital, £6.44. So in total for my US stocks, £572.63 for the year. So going into my dividend dashboard, you can see, so from 2020, that was £212, increasing 2021 to £494, 2022, £840, so the previous year, £846, and then £1,021. So now starting the new year, just £35 so far. So you can see when I started, nothing in the first month, January 2020, didn't have anything for the month. And this is, I show you this. So 2024, you can see I'm beating every single month, always beating it. Except some months here and there didn't miss, but overall managed to beat it, so that's good. And then on average, so for the year, I should expect for 2025 to have at least 1,200, which daily is £3.30, or hourly almost 14 pence. But realistically, if I keep investing and I reinvest all my dividends, I should easily get to 1,500. So basically 50% up from my previous year, which is great. And then I'm like 11% off the UK minimum wage at the moment. So continue to do this, and I should, at 10 years, with no change, not considering reinvested dividends, not considering bumps like dividend increases or stock splits or buybacks. So in 10 years, on the small side of it, I should get at least £7,752 every single year, which is great. Yeah, so if you're interested, you can check out, so my previous video, I went over my biggest payers, growth stocks. So Tesla, Nvidia were two of the notable ones. So with Tesla, 173% increase. Nvidia, I bought into this early. So £16.46 is my average. One of the companies I wanted to show you too. Where is it? Yeah, I have a lot of stocks. I'm going to start streamlining this, getting rid of some, because some of them I bought in way too early, like in the beginning when I didn't know what I was doing. But then I'm pretty happy with the stocks I have, but I'm going to start slowly trimming it down a bit. But yeah, so I did a YouTube video about Carnival Cruises not too long ago. You can check that out. So I said like they were going to go up at least 50% in... I think they were £12 when I said that. Now they're almost £20. So I'm expecting them to also go up to 30, but that's going to take some time. They're still in some debt. Yeah, I'm going to leave this here. So this is just a quick review over the year. So how I did, how was my portfolio. If you'd like to use the same broker that I use Trading 212. I like it because they're commission free, very easy to use, and pretty easy to track your portfolio. And if you like this tracker too, I made this dividend sheets to track my own investments, just to see how I'm doing over time. There will also be a link in the description too. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. And yeah, subscribe if you like the content. I want to start trying to make some changes, make it a little bit more interesting. Well, thanks guys.